I remember that I wrote for that questionnaire and I filled out the initial questionnaire, and then they sent me another thing back for me to fill out. I remember they said that they weren't taking any more clients at that time, and but I had something in my hands to look forward to. This was something that I knew I would eventually do. Of course, I did not do it through John Hopkins because they stopped their gender program. But my childhood, I had that to fall back on. You know, I had that to look forward to in my future because I knew it was possible. So once I knew it was possible, that's what I lived for. But if I had been born in today's world and had the same family that I had, I don't think they would still understand because of their religious convictions. I still don't think they would be accepting as a transgender child. Um, they would not want that responsibility of, of condoning that lifestyle. Uh, and in today's world, you've got so many parents that are accepting and loving, but I don't think my family would be that way. Um, because it took me showing that that's exactly what I had to have and something I had to do, and I did it. But I don't think they would have accepted it in childhood. But I would have loved it. Gosh, I would have absolutely loved to have been able to just live openly like some of these children are able to do now. I mean, I would have been fine not to go to school that way, but to be able to comfortably be myself at home. I would have been fine with that, I believe. Uh, I don't think I would have been one of these that would have required that everybody accept me as a girl, because even though I knew I was inside, I knew that I was not outside. So I would not have required, I wouldn't think I would want people to feel like they were obligated to treat me as a girl when I was not physically yet a girl. I don't think I would ever want to make people feel obligation for something that they have no control over. I mean, the world is male and female. That's the world is comprised of male and female. And when you got something that's different, it confuses people. And even if they understand it, it makes them uncomfortable. That's just natural. That's just nature for people to be uncomfortable around people that are different. So I don't really think I would have demanded, like some of these parents and children demand, I'm going to school as a girl, and I'm going to dress out in PE, and I'm going to take showers with the girls, and I don't think that's appropriate. Not until someone is actually transitioned and had surgery. I just don't feel that way. But maybe it's my feelings from, got a lot of traffic on my street. I'm sorry. If it's not the traffic, it's my birds. When I was 13, it was the first year of our desegregation. And the seventh grade, which I was in the seventh grade that year, we were sent to what had been the all-black school. And they had a big gymnasium and everything. And that was the first year I had to dress out with the boys. and do boys' activities in the gym and have to take showers with the boys. I was in pure hell. I felt so uncomfortable because I knew I wasn't supposed to. It was like, you've got a little girl there, a little 13-year-old girl inside this boy's body that is appalled to be in a boys' locker room with all these boys running around, cracking nasty jokes with one another, popping each other with towels, and I just was not ready for anything like that. And plus, my brother had gotten married, and when he got married and left home, I was responsible to take his duties and chores on the farm. And that meant being my father's assistant on anything he needed to do. And I had to be available. And my daddy would have fits because I just wasn't man enough to take on that job. So I caught a lot of hell from him during that period of my life. And so I went away from home. I was a child. I had no idea really what I was going to do. I just knew that with school and my daddy, I just could not live anymore. It's either kill myself or get the hell out of there. But growing up on a farm, I had driven all my life, basically. So I knew how to drive my mother's Volkswagen, and she started leaving the Volkswagen so that I could drive it to the end of our dirt road and catch the bus. So I decided I was going to dress up, and my mama had a human hair wig, and she kept it teased up in this flip thing. I brushed all that tease out so it just come down in a kind of a 60s flip. And I wore her makeup. She had Avon makeup. And she had some pretty clothes that I wore, some what I called groovy clothes. And I wrote some kind of note. I don't remember. Something about not being able to stand what was going on anymore. And I left. I had some money saved because growing up on a farm, I had raised cows from calves on up, and they would go to the sale. And the money that I got was mine, and part of it went into a savings account, and part of it went for me. And I had stuck this money back. So I had a couple $100. Well, in the late 1960s money, that was a lot of money. And I got this idea that if I left home, maybe I could, I don't know, get a job as a live-in housekeeper or maid or something. Maybe take care of children or something. Because I knew how to do that. I knew how to clean a house, and I knew how to take care of kids. So that's what I got in my mind that I could do. And so I drove. And I actually got on the interstate and drove 75 miles away to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And there's a place there, a Moravian village called Old Salem. It's the original Salem village where Winston-Salem is. And it's been restored like the 1700s. And I had been there in school. So when I saw the sign, I pulled off and I went in there, paid my money, and walked around with all the tourists and stuff, and I had a great day. I went in the bakery and ate cookies and stuff where they were baking the old-fashioned Moravian, stuff in the bakery, and I just had a great time. And people just reacted to me like I was just anybody else, smiling at me, talking to me. And this one guy who had seen me when I drove up, he kind of, once I looked at it later on, I realized the guy was flirting with me, but 13, I didn't know what flirting was. I thought he was just being nice, so I talked to him, spoke to him, and laughed a few times, and went on about my business. Well, when I got back to the Volkswagen, he had put a note on there, wanted me to call him and meet him for drinks. Well, I wasn't going to do nothing like that. No. I went to a movie after that and looked at all the want ads in the newspapers. Went to the movie, but then I went out to the lounge in the movie theater upstairs because I was sitting in the balcony. But I went to the lounge that was upstairs, and I sat there with newspapers, and I thought, I'm going to try to find a job. And I looked, and I looked, and I looked. And then I drove that Volkswagen around till I found a motel. And I got a motel room for 2 days. And I got more newspapers during that time. I was seriously trying to find something. But then about that time, homesickness started kicking in. I wasn't 13, I was a child. I wasn't mature enough to be able to do anything like that. But I just knew I needed my life to change. I could not live with it like that. And so I drove home. But then when I got there, I didn't go to Mom and Daddy's house. I first went to my grandparents' house. And there wasn't anybody there. So then I went over to my aunt and uncle's house. And there wasn't anybody there. And I was walking back to the car. Somebody had seen the car parked on the side of the road. And there was my daddy. All he said was, come on. That's all I remember him ever saying to me about that, was come on. And I knew later on, I was told, but I don't know if it was my mother or my brother, that it told me that I would have to go either agree to see a psychiatrist or they was going to put me in reform school because I ran away from home. And so I did that, and when I found out the man wasn't going to talk to me about, being a transsexual and wanting to be a woman, and he told me that I could never be a woman, that was an impossibility. So I stopped talking to that man. And I just really assumed I would be put into reform school after that, but I wasn't. I was sent back to regular school, and since the police had went there thinking I'd been kidnapped at first and talked to all my classmates, and they all knew, it'd been on TV and everything, that I had run away from home dressed as a girl. So I caught hell. So my life started off great as a child, and it progressively got worse. Every time my family would find my stash of girls' things, they would purge it all, burn it, and make me stand there and watch. And tell me that I could never be a girl. But I knew I was, and I'd already learned that there was help out there. So I kept that in my head. I kept that hope there. And so, like I said, I planned this from the time I was 12. I knew I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know the details of how. And that's what I had to learn when I left home. I left home at 18. And I knew what I was going to do. It wasn't something that I just discovered later on by being around other trans people. I went looking for it. I knew exactly what I was going to be. I went in, first people I ever met, I said, I'm a transsexual. I didn't have somebody to teach me what the word was, or I didn't have to evolve into being a transsexual like many of today's people. They'd be up in age in their 20s and they go to counselors or psychiatrists to even have an inkling what a transgender person is. I knew it all along. And I lived my life the best I could. You know, whenever I was growing up, my brothers were embarrassed by it because I would go into people's closets and put on hats and high heels and dresses and stuff and come out and parade. And after I transitioned and had surgery, I had so many family members to dig out old pictures of me when I was little and say, see, you've always been this way. It's not just something that happened. It's always been there. So, but my brothers didn't like it. When they would have friends over and they'd have parties down in the basement, and I'd come traipsing down the stairs in something of my mama's. And all the boys down there, they yahooed and loved it. They thought it was funny. It embarrassed my brothers. I can see that now, but I was just being me. I was the entertainer. Huh. So, I don't know. I know I was born this way. It wasn't something that just psychologically happened. It was always there. So, that's just a little bit of my story. So, I hope, Aubrey, this helps you a little bit. If there's anything else you need to know, just holler at me and I'll tell you. I can't really think of anything else to say. I always thought I was a girl, and I am a girl. And I finished growing up as a girl because I was 18 when I started living as Diana. Started hormones at 18. Had breast augmentation at 19 and had full SRS at 20. It went bam, bam, boom, as fast as I could do it. I wanted so much to be able to be a young woman, not to wait until I was old. I wanted to experience life as a young woman, and I did, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And now I'm trying to learn to enjoy being an elder woman, to live gracefully. Bye-bye now. I love y'all. Some of you at least. This picture was taken at my grandfather's house during Christmas time. And I've got Loretta in my arms and two of my babies. I've got a cotton Halloween wig on my head. And I was wearing a dress, and what you can't see is that I have my holster on with my gun. I thought I was Dale Evans back then.